Hello everybody. Welcome on back to the stream. You guys are doing well. Happy Saturday. Hope everyone had a great week and is having a wonderful start to their weekend. Oh, yes, Momo. Yes, I know. You're very, very cute. Look who's back. It is Mo. Not feeling well last week. Spent much money to take care of him and help him better. He went to go to the hospital. Came back late Wednesday night. Much while he was out. We did Sunday and then Thursday after he came back and everything. Oh, now all is well and he's on keeping us. There will be a cat. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to bonk that. Alright, let's get the game. Hey, look, there's us. Alrighty. That's a square. I know, Momo, I know. I took you off. There you go. You are now back on as well. Y'all are doing fantastic. The cat who wants to join us in our courtroom shenanigans every Saturday here on Parfait. I can say my own name. Ooh, my tea is really hot today. Holy schnackers. Hot tea. Got some hot tea. Alright. But anyway, where do we leave off? I think we're like mid-trial, right? Alright. We'll go in here and then we'll review. All very excited. What are you doing to your net? Okay. Hold on. Court record first. Let us review. So, this is our client, one Sasaki Natsume. He is a scholar from Japan, as well as us. First he was thrilled that we were here to represent him as a fellow Japanese. And then not so thrilled when we found out we were also just students and not actually a full-fledged lawyer, although we did pass the test given by this fellow here, Male Strongheart, the Lord Chief Justice here. So we are technically, as far as Britain is, a full-fledged lawyer. We're still just very inexperienced. Anyway, he is accused of murdering what we think is Olive Green, although not actually murder, sorry. Attempt is not actually dead. She is in a coma. These two are a couple who are claiming witnesses. They saw the whole thing and it was most definitely him and he was most definitely shady. We're just like, something about this doesn't check out because he should have been on the same as her. We don't really know where this is going yet. There's accusations everywhere, but nothing is really clear. And as is the case in Ace Attorney games, the prosecutor is like, we're gonna take this circumstantial evidence and run with it. It is definitely 100% the truth because you cannot prove beyond a reasonable doubt that it is otherwise. And we're like, we're trying. We're doing our best. We are doing our best. And right now, the jury has voted guilty for the second time in this court case, and we're just like, wait, hold on. I want to do another patient examination. That old law that you said was antiquated, and people don't really do it anymore. We've been doing it once per trial so far, but this time we will do it. I want to do it twice. We want to do it a second time. You fine members of the jury need to tell me why you think my client is guilty, because oftentimes you're just do whatever bullshit thing that you want. Like with Magnus McGilded, it was like, oh, yeah, rich people suck, so he's definitely guilty. And I'm just like, fair, but also, no, that's not how this works. Base your your opinion, your guilty, base your verdict. Facts, not... Anyway. Alright, so that's where we are. Man, my tea is really hot. Alright. I've considered the defense's counsel's request for a further summation examination of the jury, and I've determined that the court must uphold the defense's judicial right to this procedure. So, counsel, we will now proceed with your second summation examination. I presume the jury is ready, Mr. Foreman? We are, my lord. Me forgetting people's voices. It's fine, it's been a week. It's been a long week, man. Very good. In that case, I must ask each of you now to state clearly and concisely for the court the grounds on which you find the defendant guilty of this crime. Tell, do tell. Judicial findings. The jurors' contentions. I might need to get more water. Not too long, I didn't realize how low that water bottle was. Whoopsies. The accused left behind evidence at the scene, didn't he? Those 3 books of his.
If there was some novel alternative explanation about how the victim was stabbed, I might reconsider. Even if the woman was throwing books, that can't be related to this crime if the window was closed, can it?
Dear me, it was only a little book. Hardly life-threatening, even with a direct hit. Look, I just want to get this over with. If I don't bring home some pay tonight, I'll be in a tiny bit of trouble. Come to think of it, we had a fire at home a while ago. It gave me the sneezes. I know, Memo. It's all very exciting. Yes, considerably more tangible arguments from all members of the jury this time around, it seems. With one notable exception, of course. Yeah, the old man is a little hard of hearing. Just a little. My learned student friend was unable to find fault in the witness testimony. Look, technicalities. So the court must accept the fact that it was indeed the accused seen fleeing from the scene. And moreover... Stop breaking wine! You prick! Rich people, god damn it. No one else was even at the scene to commit the crime. Well, if the eyewitnesses are correct, it would seem as if the conclusion is somewhat set in stone. I fail to see how it can be argued any other way.
That means, I'm afraid, that during the summation examination, it's essential that you establish some other tangible explanation for the facts.
But how? What would even constitute a tangible explanation here? Isn't it obvious? Who stabbed the woman and how? Those 2 details are all you need to provide. Oh, Momo, you're so excited to be. Ooh, look at that cute face. See that? That's a very cute cat. Simply give us a name and a method by which the attack was conducted. And there I was thinking this might be.
Mr. Naruhodo, you have to do it. Otherwise, this really will be where the trial ends.
No pressure then. That's quite enough preamble. Proceed with the summation examination, please. I presume you're prepared, counsel? Yeah, sure, my lord. Alright, we don't have to focus your mind now. Heck, I ain't actually gonna do that. That's gonna hurt. Clearly, the key to the summation examination is going to be juror number 4, the maid. Or should I say, Miss Garideb?
I have a book that disappeared from Garideb's house on the evening. And the 4th book found in the victim's hand.
There must be a way to link the 2. Yes. You have to find. Every technique I've learned in my short career so far. Whatever it takes.
I had to keep an eye on Mrs. Garideb and how she reacts, even to the things other people say.
Jury examination. Defense's rebuttal. That's for the defense. Alright, Alright, one sec.
Let us examine the book once more.
Is there anything I can do to maybe open this book and show that it probably belongs to our dear friend, Mr. VoD?
Yes, the title of the book and the burnt marks on the back, that's not super helpful, I must say.
Okay, well. Because I find evidence of the scene, those 3 books of his. Alright. Press him! But as we now know, though there were 4 books, not 3. Well, what difference does it make? There's every possibility that the 4th book, in fact, belongs to the defendant's landlord. Yes, that's the part I have a problem with. Sorry? Well, at the point the woman was stabbed, this landlord fellow was at home, wasn't he? Going a fiery scrap with his wife or something, you said. That's not exactly how I put it, no. Oh, there goes the cat. Alright, there you go. Full view for y'all. Well, anyway, the point is the fellow and his wife was somewhere else when it happened.
That's what you call a strong alibi.
Oh, it couldn't have been the landlord who did it. It only leaves the Nipponese fellow. Honestly, I can't see what all this palaver's about. Done deal, isn't it? I suppose it is, since I have nothing witty left to say. Some novel alternative explanation about how the victim was stabbed. Hold it! So, you might be willing to change your decision, you mean?
Oh my, such delight on your face. But I'm afraid I shan't be swayed by emotion. Despite what you may think of me, I am a very modern, metropolitan, and rational woman.
That's great. Good for you.
One reads the morning papers. It's all forgotten by tea time, isn't it? So why read them in the first place? You see, modern, metropolitan, and rational thinking, wouldn't you say?
And not at all extreme.
As I see it, an overwhelmingly suspicious Japanese man has been implicated by overwhelmingly strong testimony. Despite 1 or 2 minor puzzlements, I do declare that that man is overwhelmingly guilty. Modern, metropolitan, and rational logic, wouldn't you say?
Overwhelmingly.
Us modern gals are always delighted to embrace new fads, you know. So I'd be only too happy to consider an exciting new theory if you could come up with one.
I'd be happy to do that too, if only I could.
Let's do our very best not to disappoint the modern and metropolitan young lady.
Right. I'm glad you admitted rational there. Alright. Throwing books when the windows was closed! We're closed, sorry. But what about the possibility that the window was open? And the cat came back. Hello. Hello, Momo. Hello. Hello, how are you? Would you like to have a sit? Would you like to sit down, my dear? Ow! Lick me too, lick me too. Damn it. Alright. What about the possibility that the window was open? What about it? I mean, there's just no way it could have been. Could have been. How can you be so sure? Prosecutor fellow over there said it earlier, didn't he? Winters in London are no joke. You don't want to invite that sort of cold indoors. Oh no, that window wasn't open. Us Londoners like sitting by the fire and staying warm, see? But you couldn't categorically state that the window wasn't open, could you? It just wasn't. I wouldn't have opened it. And what's the point of even having windows, huh? 1 second. There we go. Alright. How Council, you will kindly refrain from childish bickering. Oh, sorry. Somehow I need to show there's an undeniable possibility that the window was open. Because this young man isn't going to budge otherwise. Only a little book, you say?
Hold it!
But the little book was on fire at the time, was it not? With flames of love, I'll have you know. There's really no such thing as a loving incendiary bomb. Well, he brought it upon himself. It's playing with fire to betray a fiery love. Isn't it? Well, don't you agree? Yeah, well, any kind of betrayal is certainly a bad thing, yes. But I think the argument might have arisen out of your misunderstanding, Mrs. Garideb. Hold on. Okay. Never you mind that. The point is, we were just having a jovial dispute, nothing more. I won't have any more of these suggestions that it was anything whatsoever to do with this crime. Right, well, about that. What about juror number 5? He doesn't seem to be turning a hair at Mrs. Garideb's relentless onslaughts.
Almost as though he's used to it. What a gentle soul he is.
Thing? He just wants to go home and bring home some pay.
Hold it!
You just want to get this over with? How can you sit there and say something like that? A man's future is at stake here. Well, him and me both then, like I said before. What? I told you already, I'm a day laborer, aren't I? I don't bring home some readies with me tonight. You'll find me floating face down in the Thames tomorrow morning. What? You heard me. My missus isn't one to mess about, you know. She can be fierce, believe you me. Another shining example of marital bliss, then. Situation like this cropped up the other day. It was, well, you know, it's funny because I can't quite remember. Sorry? It's too frightening, that's the thing. I must have blocked it out. Helpful.
Wonder if Mr. Pete will ever be dragged into the Thames by his scarf.
Don't even go there, Miss Sato. There must be some way to jog his memory about this. Jogging his memory about something that happened the other... I have a lot to go off of right now. Had a fire at home a while ago.
Hold it!
Does that have anything to do with your decision about the defendant's culpability in this case?
Sorry? What's that? You'll have to speak up, lad.
Could you tell us more about that fire?
It was last winter. My grandchildren baked me a lovely cake on my birthday. It had 75 candles on top, it did. What a sight to behold it was.
You put candles on a cake? Was it some kind of devil worship? Oh, you poor sweet innocent child.
Of course not. It was an angel cake. Celebrate my birthday, obviously.
Seems that that's a common custom here in Great Britain, Mr. Manodo.
Anyway, I mustered all of my puff to blow them out. Only I must have blown wrong somehow. Flames didn't go out, but candles went flying all over the room. The furniture caught and everything went up. The whole place filled with smoke.
Definitely sounds like devil worship to me. And by the sneezes, I presume you mean a cold, but how did you catch a cold from a fire?
What a fiasco it was! The grandchildren, bless them, threw water over me as they tried to put out the flames. And then, because the whole room had filled up with smoke, of course, I had to open all the windows to clear it.
Windows?
Biting winter air rushed over me like the devil dancing on my grave, it did. I caught a terrible cold from it. Put me in a hospital for a while. I won't forget that birthday in a hurry.
Knew it was devil worship all along! Something about this old man's story is playing in my mind for some reason.
Need to demonstrate who, apart from Mr. Natsume, would have attacked the young woman on the street. As well as how he or she could have done it.
Sorry. Yes, but once again, the jurors' statements are full of personal prejudice. A lot of them seem convinced they're right, even in the face of logical arguments to the contrary.
I think you're going to need to pit them against each other to force them to accept an alternative explanation.
Yes. I don't necessarily need to find contradictions between their assertions, just a connection might do the trick. Alright, I'll see what I can do. If anything stands out, I'll go for a strike.
That's the spirit.
Alright, I'm gonna go with the window first. Let's find evidence. How the victim was stabbed. Window was closed, he thinks. But during the fire, winter house fires are
Dire, you have to open the windows to clear the smoke. That's when the chill gets you, you see.
Alright, here we go. You two, the window was open because the house was on fire. Well, these two juror statements clearly contradict one another.
You? How exactly, counsel?
Don't point at me again. I told you it wasn't me.
What's that you say? Speak up, lad, speak up.
Juror number 3. You see? Oh, me? See what, sir? Let's hear juror number 6's account of his birthday celebrations last year. It seems, despite being a Londoner, he once opened his windows in the middle of winter. Well, yes, of course, because it was an emergency. I mean, obviously, if a room was filled with smoke from a fire, then you'd be mad not open the... How? Exactly. On the day in question at the time of the incident, there was a fire in the Garideb household. And Mr. Garideb had the following to say about it. Whole place was filled with smoke.
Oh my.
Oh, my hat! Go for it? Let's go for it. Let's do this.
Excuse me.
Excuse me, you got something to say, Mrs. Garideb? Juror number 4, do you have something to say about that? That's a lot of tea. Mrs. Garideb!
Oh, dearie me! What is the meaning of this? How dare you imply that I'm hiding who I really am?
It's imperative that you confirm something for the court. So please, it's time to drop the pretense now.
What is it?
When the fire started in your house the day, you or your husband opened the window.
What? I beg your pardon? What are you insinuating?
The room would have been thick with smoke after the carpet and bookcase caught fire as they did. In a situation like that, it's inconceivable that you wouldn't have opened the window.
And what if we did? Oh, all right then. Yes, you're right. My husband was frantically trying to open the window, which can't have been easy since I continued to give him a justly deserved book battering.
Even though your house was on fire?
Oh, you never stop throwing until the anger subsides. It would be terribly bad for the nerds to do otherwise.
Of course. I should have realized.
Significant step forward, Mr. Naruhodo. Managed to establish that the window was open. Simply must have that added to Mrs. Garideb's formal statement.
Now that you mention it, yes, the window was open at the time. I'd clean forgotten, but it's true.
The window could have been open when the woman was throwing books. I mean, it's definitely a possibility.
Hold it!
But when the victim was attacked on Briar Road, we know there was a small house fire in the Garideb household on the opposite side of the street. Well, yes, it certainly seems that way. And on account of the smoke, I imagine they would have had the windows wide open in spite of the cold. We also know that Mrs. Garideb was throwing flaming books at her husband. Her husband, who was backed into a corner by the window due to his wife's frenzied attack. Yes, that's right. There's definitely a chance that one of the books could have flown past the man and out the window. Hold up, I gotta check something. Only what? Only I can't really see how it could have gone all the way over to the other side of the road, that's all. Ah. I don't really see how I can change my decision, really. Oh, I see. That wasn't enough? What can I take to persuade these people? Alright, the window was open.
Hold it!
Fourth book found at the scene of the crime shows very obvious signs of fire damage. And the title of the book is The Lion's Pride. Same title, in fact, as the book that Mr. Garideb told us he had been reading.
Well, I really couldn't say.
On the day in question, did you or did you not throw at your husband the copy of The Lion's Pride that he had been reading?
I did. It was the first thing I could lay my hands on, so I hurled it straight at him. Now you come to mention it, yes. He was rather enjoying reading it, you're right.
Why did you not reveal this information to the court from the outset?
As I couldn't, you insolent little man! I didn't remember! Times like that, you pick up and throw whatever you can lay your hands on as well, you know.
I really don't.
I barely noticed I was throwing
Oh
a
boy!
book, much less the title of it.
Can I help you, sir?
Excuse me!
What's going on with you? What is it, juror number 5?
You know something?
I've remembered what it was. That memory I'd blocked out. Ah. Was listening to what this granny was saying, brought it all flooding back.
Who are you calling a granny, you cheeky devil? I'm Mrs. Garideb, or the maid, I'll have you know.
Man doesn't even flinch. Please tell me that's not because he's so used to being hit all the time. About 2 weeks ago now. I just got back home after work, like. Hit my hand in my pocket for the wages I'd just earned that day, and I nearly died. It was a hole. Every last penny had dropped out. Oh dear, what a disaster. You haven't heard the half of it, boy. Oh? Wife was cutting up some chicken at the time. I could hardly get the words out, but I told her straight. Lost the day's wages, love. Next thing I knew, the blade was whistling past my ear. Stuck into the wall next to me, it did, about an inch deep. No words, just terror. I could smell it, you know, that god-awful stench of the Thames. I sure was going to end up face down in the muddy banks that night, I can tell you. Now, that's a real disaster, isn't it? I'll never use the word lightly again. Anyway, the point I'm trying to make is this. When women lose their rag, they'll throw anything at you. Knives, hatchets, hammers, you name it.
Do not huddle. You mustn't think that all women are so short-tempered and unrefined.
You throw me every time you're a little bit upset. No, I wasn't thinking that.
Throwing household objects at people is... well, it's so uncivilized. At least attack with honor. Using a bow or the like.
What? Attack? Who are you going to attack?
Never mind. Anyway, this man's words would be rather significant, I think.
Alright, we'll come back to the bow and arrow thing later, if I dare. Woman in a rage will hurl almost anything at you. The kitchen knife really brought that home at me. Ugh. I want to finish pressing her because we didn't finish.
Hold it!
Fourth book shows signs of fire damage. Titled book, Lion's Pride. Reading it. Yep. Can't say she remembered. Yeah, I'd been reading it. Did throw it at him. First thing she could lay her hands on. Was enjoying it. Why didn't she just say it before? She couldn't. She didn't remember. Pick up and throw whatever you can lay your hands on. I really don't.
I barely noticed I was throwing a book, much less the title of it.
Right. Totally understandable.
I mean, you can't waste time deciding what to use next, can you? When you feel the way I did, you don't care what it is and you just want to smash into his face.
Wow. See where violence can lead, Miss Sato?
It's heartening to think he might believe me capable of such behavior.
You threw me. Multiple times.
Anyway, I have a feeling I might have noticed someone reacting a little strangely to Mrs. Garidev's remarks just now.
Ah, perhaps I missed something while I was preoccupied. And something about throwing everything, okay? Your wife really threw a kitchen knife at you? That's right. She was chopping meat with it. Had a tidy edge to it, believe me. Still, it's all memories, isn't it? Started with that smile she threw me when we were courting. Since then, the list of things she's thrown at me has grown along with our relationship. There was a cup, then a glass, then a pot, a kettle, a chair, a wardrobe, a cooker, a bathtub. What? Your wife must be even beefier than you. Things came to a head last week when she threw me right into the Thames. Still, she's not so bad when she's calmed down. A little sweetheart, really. I'm so happy for you. Want to know what I think? I think this whole idea of ladies first that we're so obsessed with in this country was thought up by some clever lads who'd been tossed into the Thames a few too many times for their wives. That's a very interesting theory.
A terrible thought.
On the face of it, this juror's statement just sounds like a really extreme anecdote. But I think it might turn out to be an extremely powerful weapon. A weapon I might be able to use to make the jurors accept an alternative explanation here. Your house fires are dire. Let's do that one.
Hold it!
Before we start pitting again. Did you change your statement from before?
Well, yes. It was one of my most memorable birthdays, you see. I couldn't let it go unremembered.
I'm sure the defendant will be delighted that you're using his trial to explore your past. And how is that memory related to this case exactly?
Huh? Sorry? What's that? You'll have to speak up, I'm afraid.
Ah, never mind. He's as deaf as a post when he wants to be. But actually, this old man's anecdote might just provide the alternative explanation I need to make my point from the other juror.
We used unlit candles on my birthday this year. It's safer that way.
The window was open when the Garidebs were arguing that day.
Yes, Mrs. Garideb has finally admitted to it. It is a very significant victory for the defense.
I feel like the fog's starting to clear and an alternative explanation to this case is starting to show itself. Did she throw a knife out the window and then it hit the victim? A novel alternative about how the victim was stabbed. Alright. Let's try pitting you. Women in rage will hurl almost anything at you. The kitchen knife, for example. Try this.
Objection.
Those two statements clearly have a deeply significant connection.
Good grief, you mean they don't contradict each other? Explain, counsel, at once.
Juror number 2, do you think perhaps that this could be one such novel alternative?
Oh my, whatever do you...
An alternative explanation as to how the victim was stabbed in the back.
What are you talking about?
We've demonstrated that the fourth book, The Lion's Pride, that was found at the scene of the crime originated in Mr. Garideb's room on the top floor of his house. Therefore, it's equally possible that some other object besides the book could have found its way from the Garideb household to the street below.
What's that now?
After all, Mrs. Garideb could have thrown any number of different objects at her husband. Isn't that right, juror number 4?
What are you insinuating now, you little beanpole?
I'm beginning to think that ever since the true origins of this book came to light, perhaps she's had a feeling this might be what happened.
Now you listen here, you Eastern Gullah! As the foreman of this jury, I demand a straight answer. You give us this yarn about some other object making its way out of the house, but what? What was it?
Wanna know? Really taking a big gamble here. That was a bold accusation to make, but I haven't any real evidence to back it up. I mean, a knife. But I'm certain that at the very least, this warrants further investigation. Alright, Mr. Foreman, I'll try to explain the defense's theory. The other object that found its way from the Garideb household to the scene of the crime was a jackknife.
Take that!
Juror number 4, Mrs. Garideb.
What now?
I must apologize in advance for this. But I need you to confirm something else for the court. This knife. Have you ever seen this knife before?
Oh! But Lord, Counsel, what on earth are you doing? That's the weapon that was lodged into the victim's back, man!
My lord, remember that when the victim was attacked, Mr. and Mrs. Garideb were in the throes of an argument. Mrs. Garideb was hurling anything she could at her husband, been backed up against the window. A window that had been opened to clear the smoke, and through which a book sailed to land at the crime scene.
You can't possibly believe that! That book was found in the victim's grasp!
Are you saying that it flew out the window and across the street to land neatly in her hand?
Huh? Even my missus hasn't got aim like that.
Yes, I admit there are many details we don't yet understand. That's the point. It's precisely why we must not allow this trial to end. Not right now.
Oh my!
Oh!
Mrs. Garideb, your answer, please. Have you seen this knife before or not? Oh! Ah! Good. Well, she's out. My lord!
I wish to change my decision. I'm a woman of my word, after all.
Thank you, madam. Yes, I agree. I certainly didn't see this coming, but I just don't think it would be right for this trial to come to an end now with so many unanswered questions. Performin'! I'd have to agree. Not that I think the granny did it, mind. Yes, you know what? I'm not quite happy about this at the moment either. All together now, ladies and gents. Hey! That's good enough. Did it!
Oh, congratulations, Mr. Naruhodo.
Oh, as a result of the defense's summation examination, a number of jurors' leanings have changed. 2 jurors called guilty against 4 now calling innocent. Accordingly, the opinion of this court is divided. And this trial will continue. Now then, Lord Van Zeeks, how does the prosecution wish to proceed? Actually, one second. I want to go grab another bottle of water, and also, I apparently have a package outside. So, we will do a quick... Let's give us, like, 3 minutes.
And balloon! There you have it, a stunning balloon hat! It's me, the balloon artist you all know and love, Garu Tornado! Just call me Garu, sweetie. 1, 2, balloon!
This is exactly Dr. Lupin's type of character. What a way to capture your audience's attention! I dare say I can't take my eyes off those balloons. Judge? Can we talk about which balloons you're referring to? And now I'm back from outer space. I don't want to be DMCA'd though, so I should probably shut my face. Let's continue. Rude! Ah! I won't be able to spot a squat like this. What the heck's going on around here? Running for the hills! No pets or other animals allowed in the courtroom.
Mr. Stickler shouts, at which point the victim turns his head to look, and the killer fires his pistol. And that's why the bullet hit him in the right temple. No contradictions, right?
We broke something, guys. Trucy became a block of tofu. It's like tofu percent in Resident Evil. We broke her. Tofu, what are you doing in this game? Look, look. Both made by Capcom. Both made by Capcom. I'm just gonna leave it at that. Typical. Most of the time these trees won't stop rustling. As soon as I need their opinion, then silence is golden. Thanks for the spirit wood. I think you've got some issues that we need to maybe talk about. Ooh, money though. Beam on me. Beam on me. When
Oh
ya?
my god.
When it's too strong.
So happy, yo. So happy, yo. Keep pouring
We
it
all
on.
need
Beam.
someone. Alright, chat, I'm back. Sorry about that. Sorry about the wait. Ah, there it goes. Alright. Again, sorry about that. I had to do a quick BRB to go get more water, and also because I had a package sitting right outside my... Alright, so let us continue. Trial is rapidly descending into a farce. Like a corked wine, the first few sips are bitter enough. I'm not even surprised anymore, I just think it's wasteful. What follows is so repugnant, good for nothing save the gutter. If I may, Lord Van Zeeks. The defense has just put forward a credible alternative explanation for what happened. Credible? That's your considered opinion, Mr. Foreman. The defense's argument is a joke to which I barely know how to respond. Let me start by that you must all familiarize yourselves with the relative positions of those places being discussed. What do you mean by that? What's his angle this time? Should already be more than apparent that between the crime scene and the Gardem household runs a rather wide street, Briar Road. Which means that the distance from Gardem's house to the scene is some, 15 yards.
Let me see. 15 yards. Around 14 meters.
14 meters? Oh, that's a little farther than I'd imagined. And as you ladies and gentlemen of the jury rightly noted as having portentous significance, the fourth book was found in the victim's clutches. In other words, the smoldering book wantonly hurled by the lady of the house traveled some 15 yards. To land on the opposite side of the road, neatly between the collapsed victim's fingers and thumb. That's your final conclusion, my learned and deluded friend. And did the jackknife follow a near-identical trajectory to plunge into the middle of the victim's back? That fantasy is somewhat stretching the notion of having a bad day for the victim. Even those pathetic serialized detective stories have more believable plots. Wanna know my theory? Here, let's do my theory really quick. Alright. So, my theory is Miss Olivia Green was walking actually on this side of the road under the lodgings, and then, you know, Book comes flying out the window at this very reasonable amount of feet because she's on the same side of the street. So she leans down to pick it up, and that's when the knife hits her in the back. Maybe she knows, maybe she doesn't. I don't know. It was really cold. I don't know how sensitive her nerves are. Went through her coat as well. But either way, she started trying to cross the street. Maybe to get away from all the falling objects because she realized she was injured. Maybe she didn't notice, but she still wanted to get away from the fallen shit. I don't know. Again, don't know the exact details here, but I theorize that she was on this side of the street and then crossed. Not unreasonable. We don't know if that knife to the back was an instantaneous, you know, she passed out from it kind of deal. All it says, she was rendered unconscious following a stab wound to the back. But when did she fall unconscious? We don't know that. Single stab wound from the large knife. No other signs of injury were observed. I don't know. I don't know. Alright, go back to this. Nothing I can say to that.
That prosecutor loves the sound of his own voice.
This is Sato.
Serialized detective stories are pathetic, are they? How dare he?
Maybe let's pick our battles here.
My lord, might I be allowed to speak?
As judicial assistant, you may speak for the defense, yes. Go ahead.
Prosecution may consider the idea a fantasy, but what the defense has postulated was believable enough to persuade the jury to change its leaning. And as such, the court has a duty to explore this alternative explanation as thoroughly as possible. To that end, Juror number 4, Mrs. Joan Garideb, must be called to testify and submit to cross-examination.
Saints alive! Not allowed? I don't know. Cross-examination of a juror? Order! 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 Well, this is highly irregular. It is unprecedented for a member of the jury to be summoned to the witness stand. Yeah, that's pretty weird.
Objection!
Ah, that's his fault. And unnecessary. I needed a minute hoping. Lord Van Zeeks? There are already witnesses in the stand whose testimony the defense may further cross-examine. My learned friend's partial theory has any truth in it. And both a burning book and a jackknife must have flown through the sky before this couple's eyes. We must assume that he would be able to testify accordingly. Kiriko yacked in the poo box? Let's talk about that later. What say you, witnesses? Yes, sir! Constable Rowley beat, but reporting for duty, sir! Well, good morning, officer. Sorry for dozing until now, sir. I haven't slept for a month on account of a villain who's appeared on my beat, sir.
Oh, they're so heroic, these London bobbies.
Patricia, my darling, I've been neglecting you, but no more.
Oh, Rowley, my hero, you make me swoon.
Very well, I hereby reject the defense's request.
Oh.
And order the witness in the stand to testify again. State forthwith before the court any details pertaining to the defense's alternative explanation of events. Yes, sir! Well, I don't know how we got here, but we did. Constable Beats report. This case has nothing to do with Mr. and Mrs. Garideb. Believe me, a London Bobby is good for his word. You see, sir, the windows on top floor of the Garideb house are top-hinged casements.
Obviously, if anything had been thrown out of the window, we would have seen it. I did leave the scene to go and fetch help, but my trusty Rolly was there to make sure nothing was disturbed. I didn't take my eye off the crime scene for one moment, sir. Nothing strange to report on that front, sir.
Well, this is quite startling. Top hinged casement windows. That detail was not in the police report, Constable.
Ah, yes, I'm sorry about that. I must have been a little drowsy.
You cannot excuse your sins with drowsiness every time, Constable.
Oh, sir!
Sorry, but what exactly is a top hinged casement window?
And you cannot excuse your ignorance with such trite remarks, my learned friend.
Sorry.
Found it, Mr. Naruhodo. Cast your mind back to the windows in Mr. and Mrs. Garideb's room.
Alright, I'll try.
The window opens in order to allow air to circulate inside the house. But as it's a top hinged casement window, it swings open along the upper edge, you see.
I'm glad you rectified your ignorance. A casement window's most prominent feature. Its stay, a metal bar which prevents the window from being opened beyond a certain point.
It prevents it opening? That's all news to me. I had a feeling this was going to be the case. But that doesn't interfere with the possibility that stuff would still fall and hit people who are below on street level on their side of the street.
Absolutely correct, sir. In other words, if a book or knife were to have been thrown through the open window, it would have clattered against the pane and fallen straight down to the pavement below.
Oh. You see the problem then? Good. Education in windows is complete. There's never any possibility of either the book or the knife traveling 15 yards over the road. That is, unless the window pane had been shattered, something we've discounted already.
Did you see that, Rolly? The young Japanese man collapsed in agony.
Why are you so happy about that? You are a wicked person.
Oh, yes, my darling, I saw it. I saw how he crumbled before me. Oh, Rolly, you're so strong.
How is this happening? I haven't even started the cross-examination yet. Already my argument's been destroyed.
Counsel, if you could drag yourself upright again. Court awaits your cross-examination.
Lord. Oh, good. Another desperate situation. Constable Beats report. Here we go. London Bobby's good for his word, and he says that they had nothing to do with it. How can you say that for certain?
Very good question, sir. And the answer is this. Has the noble founding principles of the force written on it, as a reminder to all us policemen of our sworn duty. He showed us that before, didn't he?
Did he? I can't say I remember.
Patrol the streets of London town and uphold the peace of common man. It's what the job's all about. And that is why I can stand here today beside my long-suffering wife and tell you Bobby's good for his word. While rubbing my tired eyes and admittedly, sir! Oh, Rolly, you're so manly. Of course I am, my darling Patricia. Oh, Pat. Oh, Rolly.
No, none of this is what I meant. I meant, how can you say for certain that this case has nothing to do with Mr. and Mrs. Garideb?
Ah, I see, sir. You should have said so earlier, sir.
Yes, well... Could you answer the question? That was a waste of time then.
Absolutely, sir. I will answer to the fullest of my ability, sir. There's a surprising reason why Mr. and Mrs. Garideb's domestic dispute can't be related to this case. But before I get into that, sir, just one thing.
Yes.
I'd very much like you and all your countrymen to understand the great British institution of Scotland Yard. I hope you'll take back some tales of us London bobbies and how we uphold our guiding principles.
I wasn't planning on going back just yet. I've only just arrived here.
So, to that end, sir, I'd be happy to lend you my warrant card for your perusal. But I must warn you, you won't be able to get through it without shedding a few tears.
Thank you. I'll try. Festival Beats warrant card has been entered. What record? A small folding wallet that identifies London bobbies and contains the rules of conduct to which they must adhere. Ooh, let's take a look at that. I want a little look-see at this warrant card. Item number 1, a policeman will strive to preserve the peace within his allotted. Item number 2, a patrolling officer is expected to walk 20 miles around his beat every day for the furtherance of community relations. Metropolitan Police Regulations. Item 1, any crimes fall under the jurisdiction of the beat in which they are discovered. Item number 2, when a crime is discovered on his beat, a policeman must assist with initial investigations and help detectives. But okay, so he basically only needs to do stuff within his own beat. Alright, anyway. Top hinged casements. By which you mean they don't open fully, is that correct?
Yes, sir. They're just there to allow a bit of air through the house, you see, so they're restricted as to how much they open.
And therefore, anything thrown out of the window from inside the room simply strike the pane and fall to the street directly below. For clarity, allow me to mark the map. Here is the location where objects would have fallen. Yes. Directly opposite the scene of the crime, on the other side of the rather wide road. Wouldn't it have been so hard for somebody to mention this top hinged casement thing before? Well, I have another question for you, Constable.
And what would that be, sir?
Oh my god, I just got a stupid idea. Stay with me for a second, guys. I'm not saying this is true, I'm just saying this is a possibility because I don't know or remember information right now. What if, because Rolly Beat said that this was kind of like on the edge of his beat, like his area that he's in charge of. So it was barely not in his jurisdiction, so he didn't have to like do the whole report thing because he was out on a nice time with his wife. What if this side of Briar Road on the left, where the Garideb's household is within his beat? That's how he's so familiar with the Garidebs. But the other side of the road is not. And what if, while he sent his dear beloved Patricia out to go to the local bobby, or maybe they planned it together, what if he moved it so it was no longer in his jurisdiction so they wouldn't have to stay long and could go about their evening? Maybe? I don't know. Anyway.
And what would that be, sir?
How do you even know? Why would you have any idea what sort of windows Mr. and Mrs. Garideb's house is furnished with?
Ah, well, sir, that's very simple. See, I helped with the investigation yesterday.
You got something to say, Patricia?
Excuse me.
You have something to add, Mrs. Beat?
Sorry?
You look, well, delighted. Is there some particular...
Oh, I was just remembering, that's all. We really were so lucky.
Lucky? What do you mean?
Well, of course I feel terrible for the poor woman who was attacked. Don't misunderstand me, please. We were just so lucky it didn't happen on Rolly's beat. It was so close, you see.
What did I just say? Oh, I hadn't realized.
Oh yes, that street by a road. That's the boundary between Rolly's beat and the next one. Isn't that right, my love?
Constable Beat. Oh, yes, that's right. That's the reason I was helping out with the interviewing the occupants of the Gardeb household yesterday. That house is on my beat, you see, sir? I really was cutting it close then.
Constable, I wonder if you could clarify something. If the Gardeb household is on your beat, does that mean that the pavement next to it is as well?
Outside Mr. Garideb's house? Yes, ma'am. Pavement on that side of the road is part of my beat. I see. I was unaware of that.
Just think, if the woman had been attacked just on the other side of Briar Road, we would never have been able to go for that meal to celebrate our wedding anniversary.
They definitely moved the body so they could go to their wedding anniversary. I don't know if it was her idea. I don't know if it was his idea. They moved the body.
But that's the life of a Bobby, after all.
Extraordinary people are Bobbies, tirelessly working for the benefit of all Londoners.
Don't overwork people and take advantage of their good nature, because then you get shit like this.
You know what I think? I think it was the good Lord's way of rewarding my Rolly for all his hard work. Don't you think so, my darling?
That must be it, Pat, my love. That must be it. I think perhaps we should make sure we have that information officially on record.
Leave to me, Mr. Naruhodo. I'll take care of it immediately.
Case file updated. Pavement where the victim was found lies just outside Constable Beat's border, of which runs down the middle of Briar Road.
Now it's my turn, I think.
Okay, can I finish? I want to finish that line of questioning just to see what else he was gonna say.
Hold it!
Don't open fully. Little bit air throw. Yeah. Down on the pavement. Right there. Directly opposite the crime scene. How do we know? Very simple. Helped with the investigation yesterday. And that's where, yeah, she helped? In what way? Various members of the public were questioned in order to gather information about the case. That's right, sir. The sad truth is we're all overworked. Even though it wasn't under the jurisdiction of my own beat, I obviously wanted to help. See, well, thank you.
Oh, is it my turn now?
If anything had happened there out the window, they would have seen it. But according to my notes here, the sun had gone down already and it was dark.
Oh, but Rolly and I were strolling along, gazing at the night sky and looking for our lucky star.
But it was foggy. Not thick fog, but you should not have been able to see the night sky. Sorry?
Star that will guide us to eternal happiness.
Can't it guide you to answer the question?
A flaming bucket cut across the sky in front of us. It would have lit up the sky, lit up like a shooting star. And if I'd seen a shooting star, I would have made a wish upon it. Let Rolly be an inspector, I would have said, 3 times at least. Of course, what with the smog and everything, we couldn't actually see any stars.
In short, I'm trying to say that neither a book nor a knife crossed the sky before you.
Yes, sir, that is correct, sir. As sure as the night sky in London is starless, sir.
It certainly seems like they're telling the truth.
And then we saw that poor woman fall to the ground, so we ran straight over to help her.
We left the scene to go fetch help. But Rolly made sure nothing was disturbed.
Hold it!
Yes, you said that you went to a nearby police box to fetch in their officer, is that right?
That's right, yes. If it hadn't been on Rolly's beat, I would have known exactly where I was going, of course. Don't feel bad, my love. You can't be expected to know the location of every police box on every beat. Rolly told me the way, only sort of got a little lost on the way. Trisha, my darling, that's why I love you. Your terrible sense of direction is bewitching to me. Oh, Pat. Oh, Rolly.
Now, please.
I suppose I was gone for about 15 minutes. Like I said, my Rolly was at the scene the whole time, making sure nothing was disturbed.
Or moving the body across the street so you guys could go to dinner.
I was off duty at the time, of course, but true Bobby is never really off duty, sir.
Didn't take his eye off the crime scene for 1 minute. Nothing strange to report on that front.
Hold it!
Nothing to report.
That's correct, sir. I had my eyes wide open the entire time. Never looked away for a second. No one else approached the scene and nothing was removed from it. I can swear that on the yard's honor, sir.
Really? That seems a little strange.
Beg your pardon, sir. Strange, sir. Seems altogether regular to me.
This burnt copy of the Lion's Pride was originally in the Gardev household. The question remains, how did it find its way into the hand of the victim? Can you shed any light on that, seeing as you were all at the scene of the crime the entire time?
Aha! Could it be a different copy, sir? One that just happened to be burnt as well?
Even if that were possible, why would the victim have been gripping a book like that in her hand? As we can see from the photographic print, she had a bag over her shoulder.
Well, sir! That book was in the lady's hand from the moment we arrived at the scene.
That's so. Something about this statement that's not sitting right with me. Two mysteries of how that knife ended up in her bag and how the book ended up in her hand. Must be some common thread between them.
Can I ask you something? Please, Mr. Lawyer, sir?
Oh, yeah, of course. What is it?
You're doubting us, aren't you? I can tell.
Yes. What? I wasn't really. I mean, what's she doing?
Please, just because I'm a woman, it doesn't make my testimony any less valuable.
You're full of shit. That's not what's happening here.
You might just see me as the wife of a policeman, but I'm a woman of my word, I am.
I really don't remember ever suggesting that I doubted you.
No excuses. I don't want to hear it. My voice will be heard. And Lord, you'll let me speak, won't you?
Yes, Mrs. Beat, I will allow you to supplement your testimony if you so desire. Good, I needed more to work with here. Sometimes the path of least resistance is the sage one. That was a very loud mutter.
I heard that. That Japanese man thinks a policeman's wife's word counts for nothing, does he?
No, not saying that. I'm sure there's plenty who are very responsible and trustworthy. I just don't think you are, in particular.
Oh, watch out, sir. I might let you get away with something like that, but my Rolly won't.
Duly noted, Mrs. Beat. Please, I humbly ask you to go.
What could she possibly be about to say, I wonder?
Something that's gonna contradict the evidence.
You know what I saw? My eyes never let me down. My sense of direction is a little off sometimes, though.
Hold it!
Mrs. Beat, nobody's questioning what you've told us.
I saw it, I did. That evening, I saw it clearly. That little Eastern man with the whiskers and the funny curved back slinking away from the scene. I know what I didn't see as well. I didn't see any flaming books or knives flying through the sky.
All very clear. You also mentioned something about having a poor sense of direction.
Oh, yes. Well, that's a little embarrassing, really. I'm always ending up at the wrong place when I've made arrangements to meet Rolly. It's ever so cross.
What's that about? You got something to say, Rolly? Constable Beat, is there a problem? No, sir. No problem, sir. Your wife's remark just now brings something to mind, perhaps?
Oh, well, in a way, sir. Yes, sir.
I was just remembering that the same thing happened that evening, is all. You mean Mrs. Beat lost her way on the night of the incident?
Well, you see, I sent her off to find a police box in the next beat over from mine.
She was gone a fair bit longer than what I was expecting. I thought she'd be back inside 10 minutes. My darling was gone a good 15.
Oh, Rolly, you're such a tease. The reason I was so long is because of the bouquet, silly.
Okay. Sorry, what bouquet are you talking about?
Oh, it was a present for our wedding anniversary. Rolly's so romantic. Saved up for it with farthings and happenings when he found in the gutter while doing his rounds.
Do those perhaps belong to juror number 5? Yes, how romantic.
I'd gotten all about it until just now. Had you, my darling?
Ah! Huh? Oh, yes. That was just between us. No talking about it to anyone else, darling. You have to promise.
Really? Oh.
What was that all about? Constable Beat looked very obviously troubled during that exchange.
Afraid I can't offer any useful insight, Mr. No. Quite sure of one thing. Have to ask Mrs. Beat about the bouquet.
Mrs. Beat, this bouquet you just mentioned. I'd like you to add details about it to your testimony, please.
Oh, really? Yes, I'd love to. What happened was I dropped my bouquet and ended up losing my way for a while.
Hold it!
You mean you dropped the bouquet at the scene of the crime?
Yes, that's right. Oh, I was so upset. We ran over and saw it was a woman with a knife on her back. I was so shocked I dropped the bouquet Rolly gave me.
Where? Where did you drop this bouquet? Because it's definitely not in this picture, either picture.
It's in a dark spot where the streetlights weren't casting any light, so I didn't notice at first.
And then you went to the police box to report it to the policeman whose beat it was on?
Yes, and I came back to the scene together with the other constable, you see.
Is he called... Question. Is he called Rolly because he rolled a dead body? that what we're gonna come to?
That's when I spotted my bouquet again, but the funny thing was, when I went to pick it up, it was nowhere near the victim's body at all.
In case you need reminding, Mrs. Beat, the victim is not deceased.
I was all flustered for a moment before I heard a voice calling me from the other side of the road.
Your husband, presumably.
That's right, silly me, I'd gone over to the wrong side of the street.
I bet she did not. I bet she was on the correct side of the street and somebody moved the body.
Though, I'm gonna blame the bouquet this time. I can't think how it got there. I really can't.
The bouquet somehow moved from one side of Briar Road to the opposite. Curious indeed.
Isn't it? But the worst of it is I forgot to pick the bouquet up again when we left the scene. That beautiful rose Broly bought me. That change from the gutter you spent so long collecting.
Supposed to turn in lost change. Third piece, patrolling house, expect to walk 20 miles further in station. Yep. By bouquet, perhaps mean the sorry solitary rose.
Oh! Oh, yes, yes, that's it! That's the bouquet Rolly bought me for our anniversary with old bits of change he found in the gutter.
Just call it a rose. Alice, Lord Van Zeeks, where did you come by the flower? According to the report by the police officer in charge of the crime scene investigation, it was found on the edge of the pavement in front of the Garadeb household. They moved the body for sure. Front of the Garadeb's house? Although it wasn't noticed until the morning as it lay where the street lamps cast no light. Believed to be of no relevance to the case since it was found on the opposite side of the thoroughfare.
Oh, thank you, sir, thank you. Can I have it back now, please?
No, I think for good measure, this rose should be added to the court record as evidence.
Oh.
Present for Patricia Beat from her husband Rolly. The shock of seeing the stabbed victim caused Mrs. Beat to drop the rose where she...
But it's a symbol of our love. I want it back after the trial, do you hear me? I want it back.
Good grief! Rest assured that I shall do my very best not to forget, Mrs. Beat. Dropped her bouquet and ended up losing her way for a while. Okay, I have a pretty good idea what happened now, but I don't know where we want to go next. Let's start from the beginning. Nothing to do with Mr. and Mrs. Garadeb. Top hinged windows. There to make sure nothing was disturbed. She dropped her bouquet. Let me see if this does anything different if we press it first, and then we'll go back to that statement.
Hold it!
Nothing to report. It's correct side. Yeah, never looked away. Nothing was removed. We're on the yard's honor. Biggest part insert, strange. Yeah, the book was there. How did it get there? Different copy. He doesn't know why she was holding it. Okay.
Well, Mr. Naruhodo, what do you make of all this?
Yes. The whole idea of an invisible attacker has been troubling me all along, but I believe I'm starting to get a picture of what really happened here now. fourth book that had no business being at the scene of the crime made me sure that Mrs. Garda was hiding something from us. It's become increasingly clear that someone else has been hiding something from us as well. I think I may already be armed with everything I need to strike a decisive blow here. This time, it's going to expose the whole truth about this mysterious affair. Dropped her bouquet, and she lost her way for a while. Dropped your bouquet, but dropped it where you stood. And should have been next to the body, but it was in fact not next to the body. Alright, let's try this.
Objection.
Nope, not it. What's the last name is clear odds of this piece of evidence? No, it's not. Okay, let's see. Yeah, just do it. Just do it. Okay. She's lost her way for a while.
Hold it!
Hey, look at this again. Got the bouquet at the scene of the crime. Yeah, she was so upset. Dark spot, didn't notice. Nowhere near the victim's body at all when she came back. Let's save. I think this is the right statement. I just need to find the right piece of evidence. If they had left the body alone, Broly would have had to help with the initial investigations and help the detectives. Should we try the map? Let's try the map. Nope, not the map. There's something odd about that last statement made by the witness. There's clearly something odd here indeed. Your behavior, counsel. Oh, please, don't mind me. It'd be significantly easier if you would lower your hand. I won't lower my hand until I prove my client's innocence. Bonks, it's quite quick. Drop the bouquet. Didn't take his eye off the crime scene for one moment. How did he know that Patricia was at the other side? Ooh, that was it. You claim, Constable Bede, there was nothing to report in the 15 or so minutes you were guarding the scene, but that cannot be.
What do you mean to say?
In your testimony just now, Mrs. Bede, you explained to the court that when you arrived back at the scene of the crime with the policeman assigned to that beat, okay, you had dropped at the victim's side, no longer anywhere nearby.
Objection!
Yes, on the opposite side of Briar Road to where the victim was attacked. But considering the size of that meager bouquet, a single sorry bloom can be so described. No doubt it was blown in the wind across the street back into the gutter where it belongs.
Meager!
Objection.
But if that were the case, why did Constable Beat not testify to the fact?
No one else approached the scene and nothing was removed from it. Constable Beat swore to that on Scotland Yard's honor. But the bouquet belonged to me. It has nothing to do with the case. That's why Rolly didn't mention it, I'm sure.
No, because sadly, it's not only your bouquet we're talking about here. Your bouquet. More than one thing in this case is mysteriously the wrong way around. What are you talking about? Think about it. Besides Mrs. Beat's bouquet, there's Mr. Garideb's book. Mr. Garideb's copy of The Lion's Pride, which was thrown out the window by his wife, would have struck the pane of the casement window and landed here on the west side of the street.
And yet,
it was actually found here on the opposite side of the road in the victim's hand. Meanwhile, according to testimony we've heard, Mrs. Beat's bouquet should have been dropped here at the scene of the crime on the east side of the street. But in fact, actually found here on the opposite side of the road, in front of Mr. and Mrs. Garideb's house. No logical explanation for those things, unless somebody deliberately moved them.
what are you trying to say? The way you're talking, it sounds like you think my Rolly's done something wrong.
I did. You?
Don't you listen to a word that scrawny lawyer says. Butchering on about books and bouquets. Why should we care? It's nitpicking, that's what it is.
Oh good, Mrs. Garideb's come round. Might call it nitpicking, Mrs. Garideb, but deliberately meddling with the scene of a crime is a criminal offense. Called,
Tampering, Mr. Naruhodo.
But the person responsible for this tampering cannot admit to it. For a very subtle but compelling reason.
Objection!
Tampering? You barely heard the term before. Tell us, my learned friend. Who would possibly have had cause to carry out such an elaborate deception? Yes, there is someone who tampered with the scene of the crime that evening. All the evidence and all testimony points to one particular. Counsel, I must demand that you substantiate this conjecture. Who are you trying to say is responsible for tampering with the scene of the crime? Rolly.
Take that!
Obviously, there's only one person who could have. Constable Rolly Beat, it was you! What? Policeman? A member of Scotland Yard?
What nonsense! Why would my Rolly do something like that? There's no one straighter than my husband. No Bobby works more tirelessly for the people of London.
Mrs. Beat, that's exactly part of the problem. You said in your testimony that your husband asked you to go to a nearby police box to fetch the officer on duty. The 15 minutes that you were absent from the scene is the only opportunity anyone had to tamper with it.
You're making it up. It's all nonsense. It's all lies. Well, what about that Japanese man with the whiskers? I bet it was him. He did it.
Objection!
If that was true, Constable Beat would have seen him do it.
Oh. And forgive me for pointing it out. When you dropped your bouquet, Mrs. Beat, after the defendant had fled the scene. Well.
Objection!
First, you make accusations about the landlord and his wife. Now you incriminate a policeman as well. But your accusations lack one very important thing. Evidence? You claim the crime scene was tampered with. But there is only one reason anyone would commit such a reckless crime. Hide something.
That's right. He's right. My husband and I just happened to be there. That's all. But why would we have anything to hide? Doesn't make any sense.
You don't have something to hide. He just didn't want to do the work because he wanted to go out to dinner with you. Offered no motive for this alleged tampering. Until you do, your accusations are nothing but empty threats. Constable Beat has a very good reason for wanting to tamper with the scene of the crime. It's the key to this entire affair.
Donato, have you managed to solve this mystery?
Counsel, you have made a very serious accusation against a London police officer. You are mistaken. I'm sure I need not point out that your reputation as a lawyer will be irrevocably damaged. That stark warning in mind, you will now explain to the court the motive for this alleged tampering.
Yes, my lord. Constable Beat's motive for tampering with the crime scene was to hide where the victim fell. Oh, I keep hitting the wrong button. That one. Where the victim fell to the ground. That is what this Bobby had to cover up at all costs. What?
Where the victim fell? You mean where she was attacked? What are you talking about? We told you at the very start, didn't we? On the pavement of Briar Road. We saw it happen, remember? It was right here, as if anyone didn't already know.
That's certainly where everybody has been led to believe. But in fact, that isn't where the victim was stabbed at all.
What? What?
I'm beginning to wonder where this tumultuous trial will end, counsel.
That's your assertion, and the court is dying to know, my Nipponese friend. Where are you proposing that the crime actually took place that evening? Right over here.
Take that!
But that's on the opposite side of the road?
I don't understand.
On the evening in question, Stagarda's book fell directly down from the open window above. And your bouquet, Mrs. Beat, never moved at all. What did move was the scene of the crime itself.
But gracious!
Objection!
Perhaps you haven't been listening to the ample testimony the court has heard. But these witnesses both saw the moment the attack took place.
That's right. I saw it. My own eyes.
It was 5 o'clock in the evening and already dark. There was the typical London fog on the ground. When you saw the incident unfold and ran to the victim's aid, that was actually on the west side of Briar Road.
No, that's not true. It can't have been.
Constable Beat then arranged for you to be absent for a while by sending you for help. And during the 15 minutes you were away, he transplanted the crime scene. He moved all things shown in this print. The victim, herself, the 4 books. Moved everything, in fact, to the pavement on the east side of Briar Road.
Extraordinary.
But the constable overlooked one thing.
What? How did he overlook?
What did he overlook?
The bouquet, I presume.
Exactly.
Prosecution told the court just a few minutes ago about the discovery of the rose bouquet. Lord Van Zeek said it wasn't noticed until the morning, as it lay where the street lamps cast no light.
Hold on. Do something. Oh shit. Sorry. One hot second here. You guys can see, but I can sit a little more comfortably.
Yes, it couldn't be seen in the dark, obviously.
Which is why it was only the bouquet that was found in its original position on the pavement on the west side of Briar Road. And that is the defense's theory about what really happened that evening. Respond. Constable Rolly Beat.
Well, I'm very sorry. I didn't mean to nod off again, but I haven't slept properly. A month. I miss anything important. Oh, Rolly. Isn't true, is it? What that lawyer said is all lies, isn't it? I know it is because you're the most upstanding, righteous man I know. I had a dream. Terrible dream. All the things I did that night. Everything. Amount. Thing. Oh. Only, it seems, it wasn't a dream at all.
Good golly! Good golly, Miss Molly? Order, order, order! What on earth is the meaning of all this?
Oh, Rolly, why? Why would you do something like this? No corpses. It's a criminal offense, isn't it?
Wishing the victim dead should be one too. Constable, explain yourself. Why would you do this? As a respected member of Scotland Yard, your duty is to protect the good people of London town.
I can't say, sir.
What?
I really am ever so sorry about all this. For damaging the Yard's reputation, for everything.
I have a possible explanation. Why, on that particular evening, Constable Beat felt compelled to move the scene of the crime. I can think of one reason. What? How could you possibly know? You, a foreigner, presuming to understand the mind of a Scotland Yard policeman? And yet, Lord Van Zieks, it is this foreigner who has uncovered the startling truth of the matter thus far. I believe it would be beneficial to the court to hear this extraordinary young lawyer's theory. Counsel for the defense? Please. Yes, my lord. Now then, I think you had better show us some evidence. At once, my lord. England, Japan, it makes no difference where you come from. Human emotions are the same. And I think I have a fairly good idea the feelings behind this man's actions. What gives away the motive for Constable Beat's unthinkable actions? It's one of these two. And we're saving. Try this one first.
Take that!
I realize that I'm a foreigner in this. I've only just arrived from Japan. This is why all this information about London's so-called bobbies is completely new to me. I've learned that, though honorable, patrolling the beat is the most demanding work in the world, for example. Keeping the peace, looking after the citizens on his beat in all kinds of ways. There's no doubt that the young Bobby is charged with a great deal to do each day, so to speak. But for Constable Beat, the day in question was special. Special? How? On account of this bouquet.
Oh, yes. It was our very first wedding anniversary.
Constable Beat had worked so hard to be able to afford this simple gift for his wife. I was so looking forward to taking her out for a celebratory meal. When he and Mrs. Beat stumbled upon a crime along Briar Road. He saw that shadowy figure through the fog collapse on the pavement ahead of them. What must have gone through the man's mind?
Atsa! Just on that one particular day, I was looking forward to celebrating my wedding anniversary. This beat puts up with a lot being married to a Bobby like me. I wanted to show my dear wife how much I care.
This is the warrant card that Constable Beat offered to lend to me earlier. Inside, among the rules for patrolling policemen, it says, when a crime is discovered on his beat, policeman must assist with the initial investigations, help detectives. Aha! Constable Beat. Is that or is that not the reason why you moved the whole scene of the crime that day?
Yes. Everything you said.
All right. Oh, that's it. It was all to do with the boundary of your beat.
Oh.
Exactly. Summarize. The incident actually occurred on Constable Beat's beat. Good gracious! Constable, do you realize the gravity of what you have done?
It was the first time since I became a copper that I'd ever cursed God.
Stay close to me, Pat. The criminal could still be lurking somewhere. We ran over to the scene. I had every intention of doing my duty as a police officer. Got to report this to the station as quickly as possible. But then it dawned on me. I realized where we were, where the victim was lying, what that meant for me. A crime is discovered on his beat. A policeman must assist with the initial investigations and help detectives. Why here? Why did this have to happen here? Why tonight of all nights? Why? Papa's job to guard the scene of the crime, so told Pat she'd have to go to the nearest police box and fetch whoever was on duty there. It was then, when I opened my mouth to speak, it just came out. I couldn't believe the words that were coming out of my own mouth. This is the beat next to mine, Pat. You'll have to go to the police box that covers it, and right along Mearsome Street, and then... Just wanted to get a night off with his wife. This is why you don't overwork people, because then they have to do shit like this, that they can be human and live. You had proper coverage and proper shifts and proper give people proper time off to be. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Constable. I just wanted just that one night take my Patricia out for dinner. Oh, Rolly. Just that one night. You knew that if the incident was on your beat, your evening of celebration would be ruined. So you decided to move the entire crime scene outside your jurisdiction. Across the street, the east pavement of Briarwood, which falls under the neighboring beat's case care. See, I thought... Well, I was sure the victim was dead, you see. I beg your pardon? Oh, of course he did. Otherwise, my Rolly would
never have left the poor woman out in the freezing cold pavement.
Ah, I see your meaning now.
God got me back from my sins, didn't he? That's why. Why I missed the rose I bought for Pat. Oh no, Rolly, that was all my fault. I should never have dropped it in such a dark place. I'm sorry, Rolly.
Can you tell us, Constable? How many books did you move from that one side of the road to the other in total?
Oh, four it was. Yes, sir. Definitely. Four. Hear them dropped by Mr. Knotsman, the fourth. Being the one that fell from the window upstairs in the guarded-up household, of course.
But what made you place that book in the victim's hand? When all the others were scattered haphazardly around, I mean.
Oh, well, sir. That's because that's how I found it.
How you found it? What do you mean?
When we first ran over to the scene. The victim was already holding the book. So when I moved everything, I made sure it was still in her hand.
And you at least recreated the crime scene faithfully, so that's something. Sure, it was this book, The Lion's Pride, that the victim was holding?
Oh, yes, sir. No doubt about it, sir.
Interesting. Fourth book's information updated. It was in the victim's hand when Mrs. Beat first ran over to see what happened.
I thought it was an open and shut case at the time, you see. There were only two people at the scene. Pat and me both saw it happen. However which way you looked at it, it had to be the fellow who ran off who'd done it. Thought. Couldn't see the harm, really. Didn't think moving it all over the road would make a jot of difference. I suppose this is it for me now. Had it.
My lord. Yes, Lord Van Zeeks? I believe that concludes the cross-examination of the witnesses. Constable, you may withdraw.
Yes, sir! Mr. Prosecutor, sir. What will become of my Rolly? What will happen to him?
For now, you are free to go home. Police will contact you in due course.
Please, don't punish my husband. This was all my fault. Because I'm always moaning at him for coming home late.
Leave it now, Pat. Go home. I'm tired.
All right then, love.
One last thing, Constable.
Huh?
Let this be a lesson to you. Criminal investigation, every detail matters, however insignificant it may seem to you.
Yes,
Carve that lesson into your mind. Never again make the mistake of tampering with the scene of a crime.
Huh? Never again, sir. You mean to say?
Leave, now. This trial is not yet over. You're not gonna kick him off the horse, that's good.
Yes, sir!
An honest mistake, the man just needed a day off. Well, quite a startling revelation, I must say. Whoever thought of a third party transplanting the entire scene of a crime like that? Indeed, my lord. Nevertheless, there are some immutable facts here. Principally, that the accused, Mr. Soseki Natsume, is the only person who could possibly have committed this crime. No, I disagree. Now that we know the true scene of the incident, there is someone else. Another person who could be responsible for the knife in the victim's back.
Forgive me for being presumptuous. I believe the prosecution is probably well aware of this possibility already.
Lord Van Zeeks, is this true? Very well. Name the person if you will. A further investigation is warranted. Prosecution has no objection to the trial continuing. We'll name this other person who could have perpetrated the crime. Juror number 4.
Take that!
The defense would once again like to request the cross-examination of a new witness, my lord. Once again? My assistant made the same request earlier. In order to finally reveal the truth about this case, it is imperative that we cross-examine juror number 4, Mrs. Joan Garideb.
Me? Me? Oh, dearie me.
Objection!
That request has already been denied.
Objection!
But the situation is very different now. Mrs. Garideb, answer me this.
What do you want now, you little toad?
At the time of the incident, you were engaged in a violent argument with your husband, Mr. John Garideb. In the course of the argument... Oh shit, I didn't mean to do that. Hold up, I got you, y'all. In the course of the argument, a minor house fire was ignited. And to clear the smoke from the room, your husband opened a window that looks out over Briar Road.
Well, what of it?
You threw this book at your husband when he was cornered with his back against the window. Upon striking the pane of the open, top-hinged casement window, the book plummeted directly down. Finding its way, what we now know to be the true scene of the incident.
Yes, as I said, what of it?
During the argument, you were beside yourself with rage. As such, you threw not just books, but anything you could lay your hands on. Including the knife. So, let me ask you one more time, Mrs. Garideb. This knife, the one you removed from the victim's back, the one removed from the victim's back, have you really never laid eyes on it before?
Ah! I don't recall it.
Seriously?
Am I supposed to remember everything I picked up and threw at my husband?
I would hope that you would have at least an inkling.
And anyway, the man over there in all that regalia said members of the jury needn't testify, didn't he?
Apparently, yes.
Objection!
Can you help me out here? No. I have no recollection of saying that at all, juror number 4.
Oh!
Make no mistake. You jurors are not special in any way. You are not immune to the judicial process. You know something about this knife, madam. The truth come out.
But that's just a common garden knife. It could have come from anywhere. Several like that at home. If one went missing, how would you expect me to know?
What's that? Are you joking?
What are you saying, please, Mrs. Garideb?
You just said they have several at home. That very well could have been theirs.
Now you listen to me. I refuse to believe all this nonsense. I couldn't bear the thought that I'd injured someone. You hear? I couldn't bear it.
And yet you tried to kill your husband.
Oh, the poor woman.
So, yes, I want evidence. I want to see hard evidence. You're going to insist on this being my fault.
Alright, let's save real quick, and then let's look. Wants hard evidence, she says. Alright, let's look.
Something to say that it could be her fault. Maybe the fact that the chip is broken? That could have been when it hit the glass. What could have happened to it? Yeah, that could have been from it hitting the glass.
You're going to have to prove to me that I threw that knife if that's what you think. Come along now, chop chop. Do your worst.
Well,
Well, Mr. Naruhodo?
if I had evidence like that, believe me, I would have thrown it at her already. And take the stand, juror. Oh! Prosecution does not object to the defense's request to cross-examine this woman. Thank you, Lord Van Zeeks.
I'm going to have to testify?
Door number 4. As I'm sure you will appreciate, having observed it with your own eyes today, witness testimony can lead to the most extraordinary truths being unearthed, truths of which the witnesses themselves may not even be aware.
Oh, dearie me.
So I demand your full and unadulterated testimony, Mrs. Gardadeb. Mark my words, in this court of law today, we shall extract the truth. Do you concur, counsels? Yes. Hell yes. Certainly, my lord. Oh, that's what I'm hoping for, my lord. We try. It's such a strange feeling. For the first time since arriving in this country, it actually feels real. I'm here in the Old Bailey, and I'm a lawyer. Witness, state your name and occupation.
Oh, yes. My name is John Garideb. And I'm a juror and such like.
Sounds like she doesn't even know if she's a housewife or a maid or what anymore. She's just very confused. They're trying to look wealthy, okay? Court has decided your testimony is required in order to clarify matters in this case. Do you understand, madam?
Yes, my lord.
You will tell the court everything that took place in your household on the evening in question. I warn you, do not attempt to hide the truth.
Oh, dearie me.
Chin up, Jody. Nothing to worry about now. Mr. Garideb's there to support her. How very cute.
Oh, I didn't know you were here, John.
Wasn't only you in the room that day, old thing, was it? I think I ought to testify as well, don't you? Sure. That way I can get you guys to snitch on each other.
What about your knee, dear?
Don't you worry about that. Hardly notice it. I'm not the sort of chap to leave a comrade to face disciplinary action alone.
Oh, John.
Couples in this game, man. It's something else. I presume you are Mr. John Garideb? Yes, sir. Former second lieutenant of the 3rd Regiment of the 4th Northumberland Fusiliers, sir. Seen my fair share of action and now living the quiet life, as it were. Quiet life? Were you not engaged in an incendiary battle with your spouse on the day in question? Got you there. Ah, well, yes. Quiet. I believe this may represent a first in the proud history of the British court. Calling a juror to the witness stand is unprecedented. However, the court will hear your testimony now, juror number 4,
and that of your husband. You will recount clearly and concisely the events in your home at the time of the incident in question. Ah, at once, sir. Oh, I went one too many. I'm still thinking about B. All right, here we go. Witness testimony. The Battle of Gaudideb. Yes, on the day you're referring to, the wife and I did have a bit of a skirmish. Can't recall the reason now. You know the reason. She thought you were cheating on her. Knocked the candlestick over and set fire to the carpet. Soon had it out though and got the window open. Meanwhile, I was picking up whatever I could find to throw at him. Plenty of knives around in our place. Can't say I'd noticed of one or two and missing, I'm afraid. That bally thing in the victim's back really was one of ours. You'll have a job proving it, I think. It sounds as though it was quite the battlefield in your household that evening. Though an entirely one-sided assault, it seems. The enemy caught us on the hop, sir. Had no choice but to dig in and take defensive measures. To be honest, if the enemy had kept shelling us for another minute, we'd have been toast. Of course, veterans such as myself. Only too aware that on every battlefield, you're just a gnat's whisker from death at any moment. Are we still talking about a marital quarrel here? Well, I must say, I'm dubious that this testimony will shed any light on the origins of this jackknife. In combat, one's focus narrows that such that surroundings are barely noticed. These witnesses may not be able to offer anything more than they have already testified. May be a dead end. And Zeke's may well be right.
Well, whatever the chances, you only have this last cross-examination to uncover the truth, Mr. Naruhodo.
Go back to this, and then now I'm gonna turn. Okay. Yes, I'm afraid so. Very well, counsel. Begin your cross-examination. The Battle of Gaudideb. Here we go. They did have a bit of a skirmish. He doesn't remember why, but we know why.
Hold it!
The reason is what you told us yesterday, I believe.
Yes, that's right. If I remember correctly, it all started because of a note that was tucked into the pages of a book belonging to Mr. Gaudideb.
A rather passionate note, in fact. But Mrs. Gaudideb found the note, discovering her husband's little secret.
And she gave him a mighty number of slaps across the face for it, too.
What a sordid state of affairs! Hell on earth. I say, when a chap says he can't recall such things, it's common decency not to drag it all up! Besides, half of it was wide of the mark, anyway.
A likely story.
These waters run very deep. And what transpired next after these multiple blows to the face? Knocked the candlestick over.
Hold it!
And the fire also spread to some of the items of furniture, didn't it? Bookcase, my armchair, anything of mine, really. Just so happens there was some bathwater around that evening, so I sloshed that about to put it out. Most precarious situation you put yourself in. Ours is a 3-story townhouse on the west side of the street, where the water main isn't connected yet. Draw water from a public water pump during the day if you need any, you see.
Lodgers are always moaning that they can't get any water at night. Although that little mustached Japanese man buys water in bottles, I believe.
The defendant, Mr. Natsume, you mean? That's an expensive habit.
Yes, he receives a stipend for his studies, you know, from his home country.
Can you imagine being able to brew a pot of tea at all hours? He's obviously very well off. I don't think so, because he lives in a hovel. Y'all need to bring that man some natural light and knock out the bricks in that window. Have you actually seen the state of the man?
I believe he uses all of his income to buy books.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Well, anyway, the point is, I was able to douse the fire with water, fortunately enough. She was throwing whatever she could! Even though the room was on fire?
As I was concerned at the time, it was more important to extinguish my anger than the flames. When a woman wants to throw, she must throw.
It is most certainly not true of the Susato takedown, Mr. Naruto.
I don't believe you, because you throw me on a whim whenever you feel like it. You're just even a little bit ticked off, regardless of whether or not it's my fault or not. You're always throwing me. It's not okay. That's abusive. How'd she know I was thinking that? So please cast your mind back and try to remember. Was a knife among the items you threw at your husband that day?
In all honesty, I don't recall. But I feel I must point out that I'm no monster. Let me see. Some bread, cabbage, garlic, a towel, sponge. Napkin.
You got something to say, Mr. Gardeb?
Excuse me.
You have something to add, sir. Mr. Garideb. Don't shoot. Sorry. Beg your pardon. Did your wife's remark just now bring something to mind? Nothing of any significance, no. Just the barrage of projectiles the old thing launched in my direction. Somewhat more solid than she implies. Books, bricks, and the fire poker, I seem to recall. Ouch. The woman's aim is uncanny. She landed a direct hit with every... Ah! Good grief, woman! Why not at home now? This is a court of law! Did she just pour tea into his pipe? Holy shit, she's crazy.
Oh, dearie me. I'm so sorry, dear.
What's she even doing with the teapot in here?
Honestly, John, I would never throw such things at you, obviously.
You were... raging mad. How would you even know? Well, take a look at this then. What do you suppose how do you suppose that happened?
A pipe, sir?
Had this thing in my hand as usual at the time of the onslaught. Had to clean out with one of her soft projectiles, she did. Yes. When I went to pick the thing up, it was broken in two. I'd like to see a sponge do that sort of damage. I see, your pipe was broken. Never been sent flying unless it was hit by something pretty solid. Anyway, I've managed to bandage the thing up for now.
Ah, you are one to exaggerate, aren't you, dear?
That's the one who was throwing shit. I wonder what we should make of this account. Could be important. The defense believes Mr. Gardeb's remarks just now to be of great significance.
Objection.
This war veteran's words only tell us one thing. Betray a fiery wife, and pipes as well as hearts may be broken. Sentimental wisdom, perhaps, but hardly worthy of adding to the formal testimony.
Indeed, common sense, one might say.
Might one? Might we?
In that case, would you at least permit us to examine the pipe, sir?
Well, I don't see why not.
Oh, dearie me, there you go again, trying to ingratiate yourself with a young lady.
Very well, the court will accept the gentleman's pipe as evidence. Cool, I'll take that. Mr. Gardev's pipe, apparently it fell to the floor during a domestic dispute he had with his wife and broke.
Hope it didn't speak out of turn, Mr. Naruhodo. I was just feeling rather disappointed for you. Your request was turned down.
Nah, we good. I'm sure this will be helpful. Let's take a look.
Looks to be in a sorry state with that bandage around it, doesn't it?
For some reason, it feels slightly ominous to me, like it's trying to shout out a warning. Probably because it's the same blue as Mr. Gardeb's dressing gown.
Halsey must have considerable sentimental value to Mr. Gardeb, given that he's gone to the trouble of repairing it like this.
Either that or he can't afford to replace it. Probably the latter. Anyway, that looks like a knife cut to me. A small nick out of the bowl here, look. It appears to have been made relatively recently.
See how there are little scrapes and dents all over it? Clearly a well-loved pipe.
Yes, you're right. Seems to me recently that being well loved goes hand in hand with getting some battle scars. This particular nick is catching my eye though, as it's clearly new. Yep. It's the same. Ooh, buddy! Look at that! Oh, something just twinkled inside the chamber of the pipe there.
Yes, I saw it.
It's stuck in there, I think. It is the edge of the knife we've been looking for! Let's turn it over and give it a shake. What's this?
A tiny fragment of metal. It looks like the tip of a blade or something.
The tip of a blade? Surely. It couldn't be. Fragment of metal. The small piece of metal looks like it might be the tip of a knife blade. It was stuck inside the bowl of Mr. Gardeb's pipe. Got what I wanted. Oh, no, it's fine. Thanks to Sato-san, we have some new evidence to work with. Should examine it carefully. Just did. Well, thank you for that. Rebuttal, Mr. Gardeb. Now if we could return to the crux of the matter. What can you tell the court about the knife used to attack the victim? We're gonna finish pressing everything, though, as we do. Let's finish pressing this one without going to his interruption, just to see what he says.
Hold it!
The knife among the things, she's like, I only threw soft things. Only soft items.
I was really most restrained. Majority of them barely hitch on. He's my husband, after all. I see, Mrs. Gardeb. Your thoughtfulness and consideration of your spouse is apparent.
What about you, Mr. Gardeb? Do you remember what your wife threw at you? Well, I recall The Lion's Pride, of course. Jolly good book. Only just purchased it, too. And a jolly good book for burning, it seems. But it was a dashed awful scene on the battlefield, I can tell you. Flames everywhere, smoke billowing. Couldn't see a bally thing, really. I dare say I wouldn't even have noticed a knife bouncing off the old bounce. I don't think they tend to bounce, actually. Funny and eyes wouldn't notice if one went missing. Alright, would you care to elaborate? Nothing to say, really. Rather partial to a spot of carving, you see. Pipes and whatnot. Fishing tackle, you know, this sort of thing.
The passion we both share. I like to carve little wooden trinkets. And then there's my leatherwork.
You guys sell those things for money? Sorry to say, we're always losing knives about the place, and we have dozens of the things.
We sell them at the market sometimes. 20 for the price of 19. Needless to say, I snap them up. Don prefers to use 2 knives at meal times too, instead of a knife and a fork.
Y'all okay over there? A little concerning. Ow now, Joan. We don't want people thinking I'm some kind of sag! Here we go again with the scaldings. Why are they being so evasive?
Imagine it's because they don't want to believe it. Can't bear the thought that it might have been one of their knives that injured the victim.
Which is entirely understandable, of course, but still. Go on with your testimony, witnesses. Sir! Well, a job proving it. Oh, this is where we're gonna present our evidence, but first, press it. So you have no intention of admitting it was your knife, unless we can produce proof. Even though there is no other credible possibility if Mr. Natsume is innocent.
Objection!
You forget, my Nipponese friend, that if it has yet to be established that the accused is not responsible for the attack. As if I could forget. Only there was some way to know who had handled that knife. I suppose wizardry like that is just a dream.
Perhaps you're thinking of fingerprinting, Mr. Naruhodo.
What? You mean it's not a dream? That sort of wizardry really exists?
Whenever people touch anything, they leave behind a unique pattern from their skin. So they say.
But I can't see anything. There are already countries in the world where these so-called fingerprints can be used as evidence. Lord Strongheart is currently discussing the matter at the Ministry of Justice. Yes, I believe we are rapidly approaching an era of scientific methods of investigation, thank God.
For now, we shall have to find an alternative method of proving our assertion. This knife found on the victim's back was originally in Mr. and Mrs. Garideb's house.
Ugh, only I could transplant the whole incident to several years in the future. That's the extent of their testimony, is it?
What do you think, Mr. Naruhodo?
Well, I think we've heard all of this before, to be honest. Can't say I'm particularly confident that we'll be able to prove anything new from this testimony.
But in this cross-examination, it's absolutely essential that we establish how this knife came to be at the scene of the incident.
Yes, I know. I'm kind of glad that they're taking a path of, like, not every case has an absolute villain in it. Sometimes there's just unfortunate accidents that lead to murder, or in this case, for once, near murder, attempted murder, not actually dead. Lovely thing, that.
Sure, both of them must be feeling very worried. Worried that it was in fact a knife belonging to one of them that caused the victim's injury.
I could even find a tiny shred of evidence to support that theory. It would clinch this trial for us. Explain everything.
Yes, it would.
For Soseki-san's sake, we must find that last crucial piece of evidence. Alright, we know what we're doing. Of a job proving it, he thinks, but we did just that when you handed over your pipe. Here we go. Objection! Mr. Garideb, can I ask you to take a good look at this, please? Can ask, but I can't see a bally thing. Can't? Used to call me Dead-Eye Deb back in the regiment, of course. But that was some time ago now. Even when I'm trying to enjoy a large print book by the fire these days. I struggle to tell a B from a D and a P from a Q, to be honest. Alright, so he's nearsighted.
Oh, he does. Dear me, it's rather wearing being asked about every other letter and every other word.
You must be very dizzy? Be very busy. Be very dizzy. What is that? A tiny scrap of metal? Yes, almost certainly from the tip of a blade. And what may appear at first to be just a tiny scrap is, in fact, a crucial piece of evidence. Interesting. Where did the defense come by this evidence? It was lodged in the chamber of Mr. Gardeb's pipe. My pipe, you say? By Jove, I wonder how that got there. What precisely does this fragment of metal signify, Counsel? Are you suggesting that it's in some way related to the matter of the stabbing on Briar Road? Yes. Bill, man, you're okay. I am. What? When put together with another piece of evidence already in the court record, I believe this tiny fragment of metal will unravel the whole case, my lord. You appear rather confident in that extraordinary statement, Counsel. Very well then, present the pertinent evidence to the court. What evidence, when paired with this fragment of metal, allegedly reveals the truth of this entire case? The knife. Take that! This is the knife that was found in the victim's back. If you look closely, you'll see that there's a small tip of the blade that is missing. Common issue with the inferior blades sold at unsavory street markets. Criminals who use them regularly leave the tips lodged in their victims' bones. And what of this particular knife? No doubt its tip has suffered a similar fate, now languishing somewhere near the spine of the victim.
Objection.
No, that is not the case. The tip of this particular knife blade is the very fragment of metal we discovered in the chamber of Mr. Gardeb's pipe. Ah! Good grief, Lord Van Zeeks! I don't believe it. The knife from the crime scene and the fragment of this metal are a perfect match. Good golly gosh! Oh shit, you don't say! Order, order, order! Is this some sort of Eastern sorcery? This is no magic, my lord. This, a miracle. A miracle? The Van Zeeks has figured it out, has he? Counsel, explain this extraordinary coincidence at once. Yes, my lord. The crucial point we have to ask ourselves here is, when did the fragment of metal find its way inside Mr. Gardeb's pipe?
Something that was clarified for us in the most recent witness testimony.
I had this thing in my hand as usual at the time of the onslaught. Got it clean out with one of her soft projectiles, she did. Yes. I've never been sent flying unless it was hit by something pretty solid. Oh, dearie me. During the argument that between these two that occurred just as the victim was on the pavement below, Mrs. Gardeb flung this knife at her husband. However, the knife missed Mr. Gardeb, instead striking the pipe in his hand at the time, which caused the tip to break off, of course. But Lord! Yes, and that is when the tiny tip of the blade found its way inside Mr. Gardeb's pipe. The chances of that are 1,000,000 to 1! And yet there's no other credible explanation for how the tip of the blade ended up in your pipe. Then, after losing its tip, the knife ricocheted off the pipe and flew out of the open window. Ah. In short, this knife, which fell from the window of the Gardeb's house, is the very same knife that struck the victim in the middle of the back on the street below. Oh gosh, oh dear, oh no! He's on a box, that's cute. full-bodied theory, I'll give you that. Complex bouquet of seemingly trivial points, plausibly arranged to create an almost passable vintage. Allow me to toast my learned friend's characteristically Nipponese approach to bottling his argument. Sorry? But after all, it's just a theory. The bottle, I fear, is corked. Because you see... Why with the shoes on the bench? That's just weird. It's spoilt by an insurmountable inconsistency. An insurmountable... What? Are you talking about why it's on her back when she was walking along the pavement? It's because she leaned down to pick up the book. I thought that was kind of obvious. Lord Van Zeeks, explain yourself. What is this inconsistency you claim to have identified? An inconsistency of the simplest nature, my lord. The victim was found with a knife planted in the middle of her back. Yes, in her... Ah. That's right, you silly little man. I'll do no thing. What are you getting so excited about? Let us consider the basic facts of the case once more. The victim was walking along the pavement before being stabbed in the back and falling to the ground. The knife that had struck her had fallen from above. There's no possible way it could have planted itself into the victim's back. Ah! Come on, we got this. We got this. It's easy. It's easy. Easy. Order, order. Right, you see. That's exactly right. If the knife had fallen on her from above, it would have struck her on the top of her head. Not as she leaned over to pick up your damn book. Well, lost her words. Look, I knew it. I never liked this theory in the first place. I don't know, though. What really did happen? It would appear the defense has made a rather spectacular blunder. If a theory has even one inconsistency, it cannot stand. Your theory, my learned friend. History. No, it's not. You're an idiot. We're so close. I could see the truth. I was so sure we were on the right track. Just get up, Ryunosuke. You could figure this out. Just look at you. And now the way has been blocked completely by just one simple inconsistency. Then disprove it! In other words...
Simply need to eliminate that one inconsistency and the theory will stand.
Susato!
Mustn't worry, Mr. Naruhodo. We're just caught off guard, that's all. Our mind went blank. But if the path you are on is indeed correct, no way will present itself. The key to this is in the court record, I'm sure. All the information you need is there.
It seems you have nothing to say, my Nipponese friend. Well, your silence speaks volumes. A tacit acceptance that your theory is fatally flawed. Objection! I object! It's not flawed!
Objection.
There we go, thank you. This inconsistency doesn't mean I was on the wrong track. It means that I need to sharpen my mind and dig deeper for the truth. The test. Yes. The knife fell on the victim from above. There's no way that could have hit her in the middle of her back. Under normal circumstances, that is. What are you implying? Counsel? There is a piece of evidence in the court record that can explain this. That can explain how the knife that fell from above could have pierced the victim's back. You already have the answer. Goodness! Utter madness! Surely this must be the last time. Counsel, present the evidence of which you speak. Let's save just... Okay, sweet. Wrong piece. Know what the issue is. There's a couple options here. this is the last inconsistency. Final piece in the puzzle. If I can successfully make sense of this, the truth will be laid bare at last. Evidence that explains how the falling knife became lodged in the victim's back is... in the victim's hand when Miss first ran over. Take that! This, the fourth book found at the scene. This is the final piece of evidence the defense will present. The burnt book? But not Mr. Gary Deb's book. Yes, and to understand its significance, we have to consider how it came to be at the scene in the first place. This photographic print clearly shows the book in question, and the victim holding it in her hand. But as we all know, it was the police constable that put the book between her fingers like that. Quite so, as a part of his wholesale transplanting of the crime scene to the opposite side of the road. That's true, however, as a part of his testimony, Constable Beat made an extremely enlightening statement on that point. But what made you place that book in the victim's hand? Oh, well, sir, that's because that's how I found it. When we first ran over to the scene, the victim was already holding the book. So, when I moved everything, I made sure it was still in her hand. In other words, the victim had already picked the book up on her own volition. And clearly, that must have been before she suffered the knife wound. Well, I should say so. After being attacked with a knife, I don't imagine she'd be doing much of anything. So, the question becomes, why did the victim have the book in her hand? Jingo! I think I'm beginning to see what may have happened now. Oh, dearie me. We know that the book fell from the top floor of the Garadeb household onto the pavement below, precisely the moment that the victim was walking past. Yes, at exactly that moment. The young woman was walking along the street in the light fog, when all of a sudden, a book fell right in front of her. The book I threw! Yes, Mrs. Garadeb, and what do you think the woman did? What would you do if you were walking along and suddenly a book landed in front of you on the pavement? Well, I really can't imagine it, but I suppose she might have reached down and picked the book up. Yes, that is exactly what the woman in fact did. She picked up the book. Oh heavens! And when the woman reached down to pick the fallen book up, what position would her back have been in? That's right, facing the sky, completely and utterly defenseless. Then, in the very next moment, while the woman was still bent over picking up the book, the next object fell from the room above, a jackknife, straight into the middle of her back. And at the same time, walking by chance directly behind Miss Green, the defendant, Mr. Soseki Natsume. Well, I never! It appeared to Mr. Natsume the woman simply collapsed on the floor. The dark and the fog, he didn't see the knife falling on her from above. And from the other direction, the constable and his wife saw no one but the victim and her apparent attacker. Oh, there never was a real culprit to run from the scene in the first place. No, this was nothing more than a series of unlikely events that culminated in an unfortunate accident. And that is the real truth behind this case. Well, Mr. and Mrs. Garideb. Hey, first time you showed me that knife, I had my suspicions. I wondered if perhaps it might have been something like that. Ah, there, old bean.
Poor Mrs. Garideb.
Of course, I never meant for anything of the sort to happen, but... all my fault, wasn't it? I take full responsibility. I let my anger get the better of me. I threw that book. And I threw the knife as well. Dawn, dear. It's all right, I know. I'm ever so sorry. Truly. I'm sorry! Oh, there she goes. Oh, he caught her! Oh, they're so cute. Oh, he's having a hard time. You've got bad knees. Be careful, man. Holy shit. And he's down too. They are in love, though. That's cute. Lord Van Zeeks, what news of Mrs. Garideb? Been taken to the infirmary. It would appear that today's events had left her in an especially flustered state. However, I believe she will recover in due course. No cause for concern. Yes, unbeknownst to themselves, they caused what could easily have been a terrible tragedy. They'll have to prepare themselves for the consequences of their action. There is some good news, however, my lord. I've just had word from the hospital where the victim is being treated. Condition is improving steadily. The doctor believes she will regain consciousness soon. Good news. Strange. We've been talking about the victim all this time, but we've never once met her.
Wonderful. Woman is out of danger, it seems.
Yes, that is good news. Oh, Mr. Soseki Natsume. Oh, there he is. Our client. Oh, you poor man. Yes! On behalf of my fellow countrymen, I would like to take this opportunity to beg your pardon, sir. You came from your distant eastern homeland to study our great British culture. And have been repaid with immeasurable kindness. Please accept our heartfelt apologies. No, it's me who should be begging your pardon. Oh no, Natsume. That evening, when the young woman just collapsed on the pavement before my eyes, I jumped to the wrong conclusion again in my confusion. What conclusion, sir? I was sure that the woman was dead.
Yes, Constable Beat said the same thing, didn't he? Thought that she had been killed too.
Oh, she must have looked completely lifeless. Been about a year since I arrived in Great Britain now. Still can't get used to life here. I can't relax. I'm sure there are evil spirits lurking in the fog, like they're haunting me. Poor Soseki-san. His imagination really got the better of him.
Yes, poor man.
So, when it happened, I thought the young woman had been taken by the fog spirits. I should never have dropped my books like that and run away. I should have called for help! For a doctor! For the police! Instead, I managed to create a rift in the relationship of trust between our two empires. And for that, I'm truly sorry. And good indeed, sir, that some sort of mischievous spirit has been at work here, I think. One that created a chain of unfortunate mishaps. We were befooled by the spirit and led to false conclusions.
But thanks to Lord Van Zeeks and our young lawyer here from the east, that chain has now been broken. Spirit exercised. I heartily commend you both. Oh! Now then, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. Yes, my lord. In concluding this trial, I must ask you one last time for your decisions regarding the defendant's culpability. Are you ready to present your findings to the court? As the foreman of this jury, I can assure you that we've reached a fair and just conclusion.
I do declare the truth can be extremely cruel at times.
Well, I didn't suspect the woman next to me, that's for sure. Sitting in for the old bean while she's out of action, you know, but I know what her decision would be. Does this mean I'll finally be able to get out of here and start work? Well, it's about time.
I say, I'll have a cork of a story to tell the grandchildren when I get home, won't I? Very well, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I hereby demand your final decisions. Foreman?
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Not guilty. Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Hey! That's a full win! That's a real win right there. Well deserved.
Very well, Mr. Soseki Natsume, I hereby pronounce you
Not guilty. Woo! Wait, did they even have confetti back then? Or fireworks? I don't know, man. I don't know how. I don't know, like, when this shit got brought over to Britain. I don't know. I don't know, man. But I am in for the party. I'm down with it.
And finally, Mr. Natsume.
Oh, yes, Lord, sir.
You are now a free man once more. It is my hope that you will continue to further your education in British culture. And may you never again be brought before me.
Oh, yes, sir. Of course. On my life. I swear I'll never set foot in a courtroom again. I'm transported to tears. So dramatic.
Thank you, counsels. Court is adjourned.
20th of February, 3:17 p.m. The Old Bailey. Defendant's antechamber. Oh, locum! Wait, you... Me? Are we talking at me? You still call me the locum whatever lawyer? Of course! Is there another locum here? There even one?
Compared to the original locum student, Mr. Naruhodo Esquire, your name has become rather short, hasn't it?
What's wrong with using my actual name?
Oh, at last! I'm free! Joyful, joyous, jubilant, jubilation!
Heady, hearty, happiness, hurrah!
Oh, I am pleased. Mr. Natsume is delighted.
Would it be so hard to just say that then?
Locum, you did it!
You saved me from the brink. Well, what happened to the poor woman was in no way your fault after all. I'm just glad everyone can see that now. No, no, no! Not that! Lovely, loyal, locum, lawyer! Yes? I mean, as I said before, I've just never got used to life here in Great Britain. Every time I look over my shoulder, I see foreigners. I see towering brick buildings. From high up windows, I see them looking down on me, laughing. Look at that little hunchback.
Oh dear. Sure, it's all in your head, Mr. Natsume.
But say? You, locum lawyer, gave my gloom the boot. You stood firm behind that baronial bench before all those babbling British. You battled to the bitter end, laying bare the baffling truth. And when I beheld the blinding fireworks among the beams of the Bailey's roof, I bellowed. Beheld the best barrister ever born! Well, that's very flattering, and we're very pleased for you. This has given me a wonderful anecdote to recount to my old friends back in Japan. An anecdote? And is that what's to become of all my hard work? Ah, there you are, my dear fellows. I apologize for keeping you waiting. I rose late this morning. I just coincidentally happened to get really close to his voice when I was trying to bullshit who the fuck this could be. Like, I don't know who this is. Let's just do a voice and guess.
Oh, Mr. Sholmes, what a pleasure to see you.
I see I am here not a moment too soon. A disaster has been averted, I'm glad to say.
Oh,
Trial shall begin presently, Mr. Naruhodo, and I wish you the very best of luck. It all just finished. We're done now. He's cleared. We can go home. We're all done. What? No! My haste was in vain? Ah! It's you! Look! Sholmes! Oh, have we met, sir?
this is Mr. Natsume. And you had arrested Mr. Sholmes.
Ah, I see. I failed to recognize you at first. Our previous encounters have taken place in the gloom. Either of your bleak lodgings or that prison cell. I simply couldn't place that curious face in the light. Charming. This is all your fault, Herr Locke Sholmes! You're the reason I had to go through this terrible ordeal. I'm going to give you a piece of my mind. My apologies, sir, but I assure you I have placed you now. You're the fellow who abandoned that poor young lady and ran off, are you not? Had she been taken to the hospital more urgently, I feel perhaps she would have regained consciousness by now. Oh. But it was unavoidable, I'm sure. You're but human, after all. Anyone would have been shaken by such an experience. I do feel very badly about how I behaved. Well, never mind. Now then, what was it you wanted to say to me, sir? Nothing. Priceless! I'm sorry, really, but that was quite priceless. Orso Seki-san. Still, on the bright side, you've had an extremely entertaining experience without paying a penny. And it would seem you were not even found guilty.
But there is no bright side. Whatever do you mean, Mr. Natsume?
Even after all this time, I'm still cursed by the spirits, and now by the Reaper! Ah, Lord Van Zeeks. I haven't forgotten, you know, what facing that man in court means. Even if you're found not guilty, you're still doomed! It will be alright. Oh, sorry. Wrong voice.
It will be alright, Mr. Natsume. The Reaper appears trying to make trouble. I will protect you.
Hiya! Why? Why me? What the fuck? I didn't do shit.
With a perfectly executed Susato takedown.
I like being turned on my head. A bit of a warning might be nice next time, Susato. Oh, Mr. Natsume, what do you intend to do now? Mentioned something about recounting your experiences to your friends back in Japan. Yes, I intend to return to my homeland soon.
Oh,
It's already been a year since I arrived here in Great Britain. I visited universities, libraries, bookshops. I've been honored with the tutelage of professors. I've learned so much about the wealth of literature here, and the city it has shaped. And I've come to realize that it is my calling to sail home and tell my fellow countrymen about it.
it's very touching, Mr. Natsume.
Oh, in perhaps less veiled terms? You wish to withdraw halfway around the world to escape the terror of the Reaper's curse? That's not it at all! Might be a little bit though, you know? The more I learn of literature, the more this strange feeling claws at my insides. I feel compelled to return to my roots, attempt to pen a work of my own. Oh, I see. Work of literature by Soseki-san. Would be an interesting read. Based on a real person, apparently, so, you know, that's really cool. And what about Mrs. Sato and yourself, Mr. Naruhodo? Alright, what about us? Will you return to Japan alongside your mustached compatriot? Why would we? We just got here. I'll leave.
A week has not yet passed since we arrived in London. And only now does it feel as though we have finally found our feet.
And you are accommodated in a hotel at present, are you not? Right, but we need to find lodgings before it bankrupts us.
Calculated we can only afford another 10 nights before our entire budget is exhausted.
Well then, you could take my lodgings. No, that's too small. Oh, the windowless room? No, thank you. But it lacks in windows. And more than makes up with a floor and ceiling and walls. Great. And of course, I'd be happy to leave behind the accursed spirit.
Oh my, an evil spirit?
No, thank you. Pass. Hard pass. I'm good. Thank you, though.
Oh, yes.
Tries to suffocate you while you sleep. It's an invaluable wake-up call. You talk about the cat? That's fucking rude. Well, we'll think about it if that's alright. Perhaps I can offer a more welcome alternative. Are we gonna rent out a room in your place? Would you consider taking lodgings with me? Yes, let's do it.
Really?
We're almost homies now. He's almost making up for the fact that he almost put us in the clink. Well, a vacancy has conveniently presented itself. Though it is up in the attic, I might add. Are you sure it isn't just a storage loft? I spoke with the landlady this very morning on the matter of price. Iris is cleaning the room as we speak. You must come at once. I presume you have no luggage to speak of?
Oh, this is simply wonderful. What an honor to be invited to taking lodgings in the great detective's office's attic? I'm too overcome for words.
So suggesting we look elsewhere is out then. Then it's settled. Iris will prepare a welcome dinner this evening. And you must come too, Mr. Natsume. I insist. I don't know what to say, but Thank you. And yes.
Wonderful. Then I'll go and complete the paperwork for your formal release, Mr. Natsume. Can't take long.
Don't forget to check us out at that hotel. Somebody's happy.
Locum. I knew that you wouldn't let me down. Truly delighted to have met you here in London.
Likewise, Mr. Natsume. Been a privilege meeting you too. Shame that we're going to have to say goodbye so soon.
Well, I've come to realize that I belong in Japan. But Locum, we'll meet again one day.
Yes, I'm sure. And hopefully by then, I'll be a successful lawyer.
Hopefully by then, I'll be a successful author.
Well, my dear fellow, our carriage appears to have arrived. Shall we go, Mr. Naruhodo? Yes, Mr. Sholmes, let's go. Let's do this. Have little doubt Mr. Natsume will be released in time for dinner this evening. So, with Sasaki-san's innocence successfully established, we rode with Mr. Sholmes to what was to become our new home. 221 Baker Street. Ooh, nice. 20th of February, 4:41 p.m. The attic room. Got a stove for warmth. We do need a bed. This
To be our new office, yes.
our office. I really like the sound of that.
Too. It's simply wonderful, isn't it?
Hope you can see this, Cosma. Only a small step. But I'd like to think we're getting a little closer to your dream now. So, my dear fellows, do you like the place? Oh! Took off his coat and his hat. Ah, Mr. Sholmes. Yes, thank you so much.
It's a delightful room, Mr. Sholmes. Simply adore it.
Good, I'm pleased to hear it. Iris and I are delighted to welcome you.
I hope everyone's hungry. It's nearly time for dinner. We'll eat as soon as Mr. Natsume arrives.
We have a lot to celebrate. Is he gonna die on the way here?
Iris, you must let me help you. Alright then, Susie. You can be in charge of the salad. Splendid.
So, Mr. Naruhodo, how does it feel? Have your own office in the capital. Very exciting, actually. Can't help wondering what adventures await us. As were precisely my sentiments when I first established my office at these premises. Till I discovered the dark truth about the city of London. Sorry? London is a glorious place full of wonder, opportunity, prosperity, and mirth. But the brightest of lights cast the darkest of shadows. Shadows? What do you mean? Well, I believe you're well aware of the murkiness that lies behind London's facade already. So, once again, Mr. Naruhodo, welcome to London. Gotta prepare for the seedy underbelly. Of course, at the time, I had no idea the significance of those words Mr. Sholmes so casually spoke. But it wasn't long before my turn came. Lift the facade and see the true depth of the murk that lay behind it. what a doozy. Man, this case. Landed in London. Was indeed a good time. Our heart is no longer clouded. We are not just a newbie lawyer. Woof. The adventure of the unspeakable story, the Hound of the Baskervilles. Ooh, hound it was, but not such a hound as any. Eyes glowed with a smoldering glare. The whole of its ox-sized body was out. Baskerville. I do have some familiarity with Baskerville hounds, only a little bit, as in it's not entirely unfamiliar. It does get very. But for now, I think that's good for us. I think. Next. Well, okay, hold on. Up here. There we go. There we are. Alrighty, so go over to twitch.tv, see who my Neon Echo is. That's a good target. Alright. So next scheduled stream is tomorrow. We will be having our usual Star Onion Brigade raiding times. See if we can maybe beat Nail tomorrow. That's a possibility. We're gonna give it a go. We'll give it our best shot. And then more of Ace Attorney. Maybe next week, but it's possible that I may get a little bit of but we'll see. We'll see what happens. Because that was a good ending to the case. I definitely I like where this is going. I'm enjoying it. It is definitely feels slower paced than the other Ace Attorney games. I'm not gonna peek to see how many episodes there are, but clearly this is not, episode 5 is not gonna be the last one, and usually we are at about 5 cases. This is indeed a longer game. Very interesting. Anyway, call it here, and we'll see what happens. Keep an eye on Twitter to see when we will resume. But it's definitely gonna be on a Saturday. Just, you know, keep an eye to see. Here for me, it means we. Alright. So. Thanks y'all for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed. Many thanks to all the lurkers, chatters, VoD watchers, people who stopped by, peeked in on the stream. Watch the VoDs later on YouTube. I appreciate all of you. Let us go. Now, thank you very, very much. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your weekend if I don't see you tomorrow. A great, wonderful. I love spring. I always. Oh. Mike, are you working? I'll see you guys next time. Alright. Okay. Alright. Yep. See you guys later. Alright, thanks, and bye-bye.